And welcome everybody to the 117th episode of the Fact Is Podcast.
117!
We're your hosts, Nate Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
I hope everybody's having a fantastic night. Tonight, on March 22nd, 2023. Beautiful day. Beautiful
in the
night.
neighborhood.
Beautiful night.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I
Won't
agree.
you be mine? Sorry, I'm not wearing a vest.
We still got our board.
We got new things on the board.
New things on the board.
But we do
new
have some
topics.
staples on here. I got to point those out. Like, comment, share, and follow on all of our platforms, which includes the Royal Rumble.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, not Instagram, I apologize. Or yeah, Instagram, goodness. I am exhausted tonight. I'm going to screw up many times. Be prepared.
I guess this means I'm reading tonight, Nate.
TikTok. Don't forget about TikTok. We do TikTok.
Yeah, but TikTok doesn't do us.
Yeah, no, TikTok hates us.
They don't like us.
Actually, you
for
want to
some
hear
reason
something
or
hilarious?
another.
Y'all want to hear something hilarious about TikTok? Real quick before we get started. They will literally allow people to say the N-word on TikTok and the videos not get banned. Yet, they tried taking away a video that showed guns. Didn't even show them being fired. Didn't show them having, like, literally just sitting there, guns.
How,
But
if
they
that's
allow
the
the
case,
N-word.
then how did all those videos from Israel, when they were deploying the missile defense system, how did that make it onto TikTok?
I have no idea.
Because I feel like that's way more violent.
I have no idea how their algorithm works, but there are times where they will try to take down our
knows
videos.
how it works. That
Yeah.
means it's provocative.
It's crazy.
It's the
people going. Yeah. Ball so hard. Anyways.
Ain't it,
It's
Jay?
crazy, though. It is absolutely
order?
crazy. So some of our videos get
fillet.
taken down for no reason, and some of them don't, and there is no rhyme or rhythm to it. So the best way to be able to catch our content, I would say, is between Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
And the Royal Rumble!
Gosh, I miss wrestling back when I was a kid, man.
I don't. I have to agree with Joe Rogan on it. It's gay.
What?
And I don't mean that in a negative way. I
Right.
mean that is like there's grown men wearing leather hugging each other.
Hugging each other, yeah. I mean,
Kind of gay.
can be. Now, UFC is a whole different story.
Yeah, because they're actually hitting each other.
Hitting each other.
They're not slapping each other and grunting.
Oh, that's funny.
But no offense. I do not mean that derogatorily towards gay people.
Oh, no,
just a statement of fact that it does seem to have homosexual tendencies.
Yeah, I mean, you know. Stuart's a huge fan of wrestling over there, so he's probably really upset at you right now.
Well, you know, WrestleMania.
Stuart, who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Jeff Hardy.
There he is, Jeff Hardy.
Oh yeah, he was pretty good back in the day. My favorite was definitely The Undertaker, though.
Undertaker, I loved Undertaker.
Oh, dude, because he would just show up creepily as all get
Yeah.
out and just choke slam people.
Oh.
Like, "Ah, you're dead now because I picked you up and dropped you."
That's awesome.
And then he put people in caskets and lit them on fire, and somehow or another, next week they were back.
They still survived.
Yeah, it sounds like you like wrestling, Ryan.
No, I liked wrestling when I was a kid. And then as I got older, I was like, this seems a little sus.
Not cool with me. All right, cool. So let's talk about what we're going to go over for the night. We got Trump, so the legal woes that he is facing in Manhattan. House GOP with Hunter Biden and the $1.3 million from business associated to China.
We better see some indictments from that.
Yeah, no joke. If you're
Just saying.
if you're going after other things, Biden signs a bill requiring declassification of COVID origins information. That was a shocker. That was very shocking. Yellen vows to safeguard deposits at smaller U.S. banks, and Russia hits Ukraine with missiles, drones as drones as dear friend Xi departs. So Russia and China did meet up for the week, talking about things there. So we will discuss that as well. So without further ado, gentlemen, jump straight into the topics.
Yeah, let's do that.
Beautiful. Let's do
Sounds
it.
like a
So first one, legal woes surrounding Trump as possible Manhattan charges loom. So known criminal investigations of Trump. So the investigator, special counsel Jack Smith, he has two of them. Efforts to interfere with peaceful transfer of power on and leading up to January 6th. I think he transferred power pretty peacefully, if I'm not mistaken. Trump's
I'm pretty
handling
sure he
of
wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
that's
guess that's
kind of a
pretty
peaceful. I mean,
like, yeah, take it.
if you have
I'm not
nothing
gonna-
nice to say nothing at all. So he walked away.
I mean, that is what our parents
That's
taught
what
us.
our schools taught us too.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't have anything nice to say nothing at all.
Say nothing at all. Trump's handling of classified documents, potential obstruction of justice. If that's the case, we need to go after Biden as well. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, Trump's 2016 payment to conceal alleged affair with porn star Stormy Daniels. If it was made outside of court and she signed a contract, there's no really legalities there. And Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, efforts to overturn 2020 election in Georgia. I mean, they all got shot down in courts anyways. I don't know why he wasn't able to make those pursuits, but whatever. So we'll see what happens here. The former President Trump possible indictment this week is just one of several legal challenges bearing down on the leading of 2024 Republican presidential candidate. Why it matters. So an indictment would be historic. No U.S. president has ever faced criminal charges, but the legal woes swirling around Trump don't stop with the Manhattan District Attorney. Trump faces several other high-stake cases, including probes into his efforts to subvert the 2020 election results, handling of presidential records, and business fraud, launching the Republican frontrunner into uncharted territory. Driving the news, so a grand jury in Manhattan appears to be nearing an indictment as part of the years-long investigation into Trump's role in hush money paid to adult film actress Stormy Daniels in 2016. But again, if it was made outside of the court of law, and she agreed to it and signed a contract, is there really anything they can do?
I wouldn't think so, but if I'm DJT, I am going to send out a message to all of my followers, the entire base, and just tell them, just hang tight.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm getting down on my knees tonight, and I'm praying to the Lord above
That they come to arrest
that
you?
they come to arrest you.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
seriously, they're just going to fuel the
what
fire.
happens is that satisfies the people on the far left who are, just crazy about him being arrested. Okay, cool. He would never spend a day in jail. He's going to be at the jailhouse for about 45 minutes to get a
book him.
digital fingerprint and a mugshot.
Yeah, and he's immediately
it.
out.
And then Trump has his entire base now becomes just extremely stirred up.
Oh, yes.
The people in the middle are going to start looking at this like, oh, this is political persecution.
Oh, yeah.
And then how many of the people in the middle are going to just vote for Trump out of spite because of what the Democrats are doing?
Right.
And then the other thing is this is going to tame down Democrats for a little while and allow the Republican base to get a little bit of a lead.
Right. Now, it also depends, again, if he wins that nominee, because he does have some people running for the Republican nominee. So
Do we really think that there's anybody out there big enough to actually take down Trump?
Potentially.
Who?
But
Ron DeSantis actually just dropped the ball in a terrible way.
with
I-
with
I know, but I'm saying, like, if I don't think anybody else has the popularity to actually legitimately challenge Trump other than Ronnie D. And Ronnie D dropped the ball the other day
With,
and actually went back on something he said where he was like, I'm never going to get into a name calling thing. And just threw like Trump under the bus with the porn star thing.
right. And then,
So he-
well, no, I thought he actually came out and
No, he was like, well, I don't know what goes into sleeping with a porn star and paying
Oh.
hush money, but it's a Soros-funded lawyer.
well, he kind of screwed himself there. But also, he, the things he's doing right now, like where they're trying to make it to where you have to get a certain, what was it that we just talked about the other week, where he has to register with the state to be able to discuss anything about him. That's a little concerning as well, and whether
But that's
or not
not
that
him
actually
that's bringing
goes
that.
through.
That's somebody else in the party that's bringing that, isn't it?
Yeah, but if I was him, I would just be like, let's cut that
Yeah, I'd
down
stifle that.
immediately. Yeah, immediately.
The other thing
But-
is if I was Ron DeSantis, I would have absolutely taken that opportunity when he was asked about the Trump situation to say,
right.
absolutely not. I'm not extraditing him for a misdemeanor. If you step onto Florida state property, we will use force to remove you. Like
Right.
Tim Cass was actually talking about this earlier today. I think from his episode last night. And that's what he said. And I 100% agree with him. I think that would have set Ron DeSantis up for so much success in the future
Right.
because it would have gotten Trump's base to like him more. And then he also shows that he's not going to bow down to the federal government
Right.
or a George Soros funded.
Fair enough. So,
He had so many opportunities to just bang, bang, bang,
but he screwed him.
and
So.
he flew the boat on it.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it is what it is, right?
so yeah, I just don't see anybody in the Republican Party that has a legitimate chance to take down Trump.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Trump is definitely the front runner. I think he's the biggest one right now, and maybe nobody does beat him, but we don't know what the future holds. So we'll see what happens. Because
I mean, he might get arrested.
Like you said, he's gonna get ran through the books or whatever, and then he's immediately out. Like it's as soon he's not even gonna touch a jail cell, I bet.
And then the legal, not the legal, but the social backlash that the Democratic Party would then like incur because of this is going to be through the roof, because this absolutely looks like political persecution.
Oh yeah,
they are trying to turn a misdemeanor that was actually like turned down by the DOJ, turned down by the previous DA. Nobody wanted to prosecute this. And now here's this DA, because he wants to bid at governor probably down the road, who's like trying to be a hotshot, going after him. It is just, I think it's a bad optic.
Well, we'll see what the future has to hold, but let's go ahead and finish up everything else that they're going after him for. So, citing legal leaks from Manhattan's DA, Trump took to Truth Social over the weekend to predict he will be arrested this week as part of the probe. Trump called the case against him fully debunked and urged his supporters to protest, take our nation back. The looming possibility of an indictment comes amid several other legal inquiries into the ex-president. In Atlanta, a prosecutor is nearing a decision in her high-profile investigation of Trump's alleged efforts to subvert the 2020 election results in Georgia. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis earlier this year said her office's decision about indictments were imminent. Last year, Willis called for a special grand jury to look into alleged election interference by Trump and his allies. A judge released part of the grand jury's final report in February. Trump is also under a criminal investigation by a special counsel in 2 high-stake federal cases. Attorney General Merrick Garland tapped veteran prosecutor Jack Smith to lead the Department of Justice's probe into Trump's efforts to interfere with the law transfer power after the 2020 election. Smith is tasked with examining whether Trump illegally retained classified documents at Mar-a-Lago and obstructed the government's efforts to get them back. In another case, in New York, Attorney General Letitia James filed a civil lawsuit accusing Trump and his family of financial fraud. James, who is seeking to permanently bar Trump and members of his family from running a business in New York, alleged former president falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars. In January, a judge declined to throw out James' lawsuit against Trump, increasing the odds that the former president will face trial later this year. Since it's a civil case, James can't file criminal charges against Trump, but he could still face heavy fines and restrictions trial. Do what? Where's that? Oh, there it is. Timeline. Go over that. I'm not really worried about the whole payment to Stormy Daniels though. Like that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like that to me is probably the least of what his worries. Because again, if they made this,
that's the one that they're trying to indict.
I just don't understand how though. That's what I don't understand the legality behind that.
Yeah, his bookkeeper accidentally put it under campaign funds apparently.
Oh. Now that. Yeah, but he could always just push it back on the bookkeeper. I mean, he's not the one who did it, right? Like, he wasn't the one who did it by hand, and he can hold that bookkeeper accountable and,
Here's my thing.
Go from there.
Why are we even, like, who cares about this? So he paid a porn star to not talk about their affair while he was getting ready to run for president.
I thought, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what this whole lead up is. We literally have an ex-president who's got a laundry list of people who happen to keep committing suicide, with the latest being Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. Well, no, there's a couple reporters, actually.
Has there been more since?
There's been more since.
Anyway, it just seems like pretty much anybody who gets into close contact with this ex-president happens to die of unnatural causes very shortly thereafter.
I don't know if
there's nothing fishy going on there. And he rode Epstein's plane like 45 times.
Well, yeah, that's weird.
Nothing fishy going on there.
But I don't know
But that
whether
doesn't. We shouldn't look into that.
I don't know
There's
whether
no
I would look
smoking.
at old Bill or old Hillary.
The other-
Hillary's probably the worst one.
I mean, if we look into Hillary, they actually were found guilty of using campaign funds to fund the Steele dossier.
well,
Can we just arrest all these people?
Well, I was gonna
Let's
say.
go.
You want to know what's even worse? Is
The reason they can is they don't have the moral high ground. They don't have the moral fortitude to be able to go and do it.
you know what's worse
Because
is
they're all cricket themselves.
is the next topic we're about to jump into, which I actually kind of want to transition right into if y'all are cool with it.
We're talking about the laptop.
Yeah, well, we're talking
there's
about a
that
lot more
too.
than the laptop. We're talking about a lot
Oh.
more than a laptop.
And I don't know, the video evidence of, the president's son smoking crack, which is an illegal offense.
It is. Well, it depends on what country he was in.
I'm pretty sure he was in his bed
Well, probably
hitting his crack pipe.
Probably.
Why you would
but
be in bed hitting your crack pipe? This
I don't know.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense
I
to
don't
me.
do crack.
I don't either, but I've heard that crack keeps you up. Why are you laying in bed smoking crack? Like, oh, this is gonna put me to sleep. Come on, man.
So this one's a little even.
on, man.
This one's even crazier. So House GOP, Hunter Biden, and others got 1.3 million from business associated linked to China. So House Republicans announced Thursday that President Joe Biden's relatives received a combined 1.3 million from a business associate with links to China. The latest salvo in the investigation the Biden administration has dismissed as politically motivated. Hunter Biden, the president's son, James Biden, the president's brother, Haley Biden, the president's daughter-in-law, and a fourth unnamed Biden received the payments from business associate Rob Walker. According to House Oversight and Accountability Committee, the money was paid out after Walker received a $3 million wire transfer from a Chinese company, according to a panel. It is unclear what services were provided to obtain an exorbitant amount of money, said the chairman, Representative James Comer, Republican of Kentucky. So Comer said he released the memo in response to criticism from the top Democrat on the panel, Representative Jamie Raskin of Maryland, who said the panel was prying into private lives of Biden family business associates by subpoenaing bank records. A White House spokesman, Ian
Hold on, can I
Sams.
cut you off right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Raskin, if this committee is prying into the private lives of the Biden family by subpoenaing banking records, then what would you call the subpoenas for Trump's taxes
Or Stormy Daniels.
or Stormy Daniels or the Trump kids or any of that? Like,
or
that
Dr.
is
Fauci's
all
emails or
prying
anybody
into-
else. Yeah.
That is all prying into like his family affairs.
Yep.
What are we talking about here? Like that's what pisses me off so bad about Washington is that they talk out of both sides of their mouth constantly. Like, just go after people who are doing things bad
And just leave it at that.
and leave it at that.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
But
if you do something wrong, pay the price for doing the wrong thing.
the other problem is, how long ago did we figure all this out? Like, we've known that Hunter Biden and them have taken money from allegedly, but we've
wait,
known
what's allegedly
that they've taken money
from?
from China.
No, that's not allegedly anymore. There's bank records.
Yeah, I mean, now there's bank records, so it's not
That's
necessarily
not
alleged
allegedly anymore. That
But-
is an actual statement of fact.
But what
Brought to you by the
kills
Fact Is
me?
podcast.
Yeah, right. But what kills me is that we've known about this, right? And yes, it's all been allegedly, but like, how long has it been? 3-4 years we've been discussing this, and we are just now getting to a point where we have actual evidence. Why is everything taking so long?
Because Democrats controlled Congress.
It is insane how long it takes.
You think if Trump here, let me play an advocate here, or devil's advocate real quick. You think if Trump was accepting payments from Chinese CCP owned companies, do you think that he would not be in jail right now?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you think that the process would have moved faster for him had it been Trump that was accepting the payments from China?
Potentially.
Who do you think that fourth unknown Biden is?
I don't even know who the other Bidens were. I'd kind of breeze right through it.
Well, it was
I'd
Paulie-
imagine
James, Hunter,
I mean,
and then
Biden himself.
the big guy.
The big guy.
Come on. How do we even know what the big guy is? Oh, wait, because there was a laptop that was dropped back in 2020 that talks about all this.
Right. And it discusses all this, yeah.
And they were like, that's blasphemy. That's Russia propaganda. Bank records say that it's not.
This is where we really have to get in and start changing the structure of our politics, because we can't allow people
just
who are
protect
doing
your
things
own.
wrong. And yeah, like I don't, if my best friend went and just mindlessly killed somebody, I'm sorry, you gotta,
Oh, yeah, no.
face your time.
I'm going to be the one that makes the phone call. Like,
Yeah.
hey, it was him.
It was
he did
like-
it at this time. This is where he lives.
You have to make sure
I don't
you're
want him on
holding
the streets
people.
because I'm affiliated.
Now, if it was, self-defense, that's a whole different story. But if it was like, again, if somebody does a senseless crime or they clearly are breaking the law, they need to be held accountable. It's
The
just as
difference
simple as
is,
that.
Nafe, is that you, me, and presumably Stu over here have consciousness. And we have conscience that would weigh very heavily on us.
Right.
And we wouldn't be able to live with ourselves if we covered that up.
It would be tough. Yeah, I mean, it would.
Politicians in Washington have been bought so many times that their souls are gone. Yeah, that's a tough statement. Let me let that one sink in.
That is tough.
Yeah, because they all, I mean, is there any other explanation?
So I guess now that we've discussed a little bit about Trump, right, and the Biden family, so they're going after
We should
Trump because
Talk
of
about the Clintons.
The Clintons. Oh,
I'd
God.
rather remain living.
Me
I have
too.
no plans on suiciding myself. I did
Like
say their
ever.
name. I'm a very happy individual. If some report comes out that happened,
It's false.
dig into the Clinton Foundation.
So with Trump, he allegedly used campaign funds for personal reasons. Allegedly, right? And then now we're going over to the Biden family, who allegedly took money from China. And I think even in here. Okay, so Comer released figures from banking records from 2015 to 2017 from Walker's account to several accounts of President Biden's relatives from a period when he was vice president until just after he left the Obama administration. The release doesn't detail the full $1.3 million during that timeline, but the payments range from $5,000 to $300,000 either to Biden relatives or companies linked to them, such as Owasco PC First Clearing LLC, JBBSR Incorporated, and RST2 LLC. So November 5th, 2015, Walker received a wire transfer of $179,837 from an account the committee continues to investigate. November 6th, 2015, Walker transferred $59,900 to his personal checking account. November 9th, 3 days later, Walker wired $59,900 from his personal checking account to Hunter Biden. Under Comer's timeline, the bulk of the payments were made. Darn it. Here, stay where you're at with that. The bulk of the payments were made. Payments were made after Joe Biden left the vice presidency. March 1st, 2017. I'm not going to say the dates as we're rolling through. I'm just going to keep reading them. State Energy HK Limited, a Chinese energy company, wired $3 million to Robinson Walker LLC. At the time, the account had a balance of $159,000. Walker wired nearly $1.1 million to European Energy and Infrastructure Group in Abu Dhabi. Comer said the company is linked to James Gilmer, a business partner of Hunter Biden. Walker wires a combined $70,000 to an unnamed Biden, probably
Joe.
Walker wires $25,000 to Haley Biden. Walker wires a combined $500,000 to Owasco. Walker wires First Clearing $100,000. Walker wires JBBSR a combined $360,000. Walker wires $10,692 to RST. The committee also found a $10,000 payment to Haley Biden on February 13th, 2017, before the Chinese wire transfer. Hunter Biden began dating Haley. Oh, okay. The widow of his brother Beau. What? Yo, what? What did I just read? I'm not reading that wrong, correct, gentlemen? So Hunter Biden began dating Haley, who is the widow of his brother Beau, in 2016. I guess so.
Hey man, power's hard to let go of.
The two exchange
Way to
payments
go,
during
Hallie.
this
Way
period.
to go.
Turned over the laptop to FBI. Okay, anyways, I'm kind of done with this one.
No. Keep going, Nave.
I mean, what's there to say now? I mean, there's yeah, let's look at how the Democrats responded, and then we'll move forward. So Raskin, the top Democrat of the committee, said after 4 years of investigations in the House and Senate into Hunter Biden, Republicans found no connection to president or any other government official. It must be frustrating to my GOP colleagues to have even Fox News commentators rolling their eyes about the tiresome fishing expedition. But I want to stress that there always remains the possibility of doing serious bipartisan legislative oversight work together. So, I don't. I mean, so whatever, man. I don't know. I just can we please revisit how freaking Hunter started dating the
Nave
wife?
is hung up on that.
Dude, I'm like, why?
His sister-in-law.
Yes, he started dating his sister-in-law. That's, I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't be judgy or whatever, but it is a little strange. I mean, come on, right?
I mean, it's
Like,
not incesty, but it is frowned upon.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Hey, so here's your choices in 2024, probably.
okay.
The Biden family, who gets money from China, or like Hunter Biden, if we want to be specific.
Right.
And then you have the Trump family, who gets money from Saudi Arabia. Choose wisely.
I say all of it. I mean, that's the thing.
Or
all
we
of it,
can
right?
go back to Gary Johnson, who ran in 2016.
God, yes, Gary Johnson. Please.
Gary,
Please tell me y'all
Gary.
remember when he, and I know I've said this so many times, but God, I just love it when he was on stage and they were talking about how marijuana gives you
That's
5
what-
times
that's what
likely
screwed
to
him.
and he just goes and drops to the floor.
That's
and
what
it
screwed him.
was so funny. I thought it
Literally,
was
that's
great.
what screwed him.
I thought it was great.
But they turned him into an internet meme.
yes, and
That's what
that
killed
screwed him.
his presidency bid.
So stupid because I loved him. I loved him to
Dude,
death.
his policies would have been awesome.
Gary Johnson
Gary
would have
was
been
the
incredible.
man. Bring Gary back.
Joe Jurgensen wouldn't have been bad in 2020. I would have loved to have seen her
I
up on
voted
that
for Joe,
stage.
but
yeah, me too.
Joe, I mean, I knew she wasn't going to win.
I mean,
but
yeah, but at least your
she
conscience
didn't have the
is clean.
charisma.
Yeah.
Man, if she would have had the charisma of Gary and the policies of, I mean, she had great policies, don't get me wrong, but if she would have had the charisma of Gary, she might have been able to make some noise.
If she would have been allowed to be on that stage. That's
Yeah,
the
but she was
biggest
nowhere
issue that
close.
we will never talk about is how that third party is never allowed on that stage and how wrong that is.
They have to garner a certain amount of attention.
I disagree. I think anybody who is in the running for presidential candidate should be able to absolutely be up on that stage. That's my opinion.
Yes and no, because I could go out and declare that I'm going to run for president, and I have say I have like 10,000 people that are willing to vote for me. That is a waste of time on the presidential scale.
So those who are on the presidential ballot. Joe Jurgensen was on the ballot.
True. Okay, if they're on the ballot, then they should have a
They should
seat
have
at
a
the
right
table.
at that table. That's right.
Yeah.
And that okay, so let me clarify it that way.
There you
So
go.
yeah, she should have definitely been on there.
Yeah, if she's going to be on the ballot, she should have a right to at least speak about her policies, join the debates.
Yeah, I just want a third person, a fourth person to get up there and debate Republicans and Democrats just from a different viewpoint.
Yeah, to be able to
and
challenge
to
it.
test their ideas and their policies.
Well, to test the intelligence of who we're actually putting into these positions of power at this point, you know? Like, to really, because again, I'm telling you, if Joe Jurgensen was on that stage with Trump and Biden, she absolutely would have blown them away.
I don't think she would have blown away Trump.
I
Trump-
disagree.
No, man, Trump is an amazing public speaker.
Not really.
Dude, when it comes to like debates and stuff like that, yes, he is.
Nah, he's made some fun
He is-
stuff on the internet,
He has
but
absolutely demolished anybody he's been on the stage with in those debates.
Hillary Clinton,
He actually beat Joe Biden down so bad that people started feeling bad for Biden. That was the thing against it. They were like, well, he beat him up.
I would love to see, like, if you put, like, let's say you put, like, oh gosh, there's so many different people I could think of. If you put Tulsi Gabbard up there,
Oh, Tulsi.
if you put Joe Jurgensen, if you put Ron DeSantis, if
Gary
you
Johnson.
put Ben Carson, even if you
No,
put
Ben Carson's been on the debate stage before, and he is not
is he a
fared
bad
too
debater?
well.
I haven't. Yeah,
Man,
but
it's an art form. It really is.
I don't know. For me, like, I think I still think to modern day history, at least, or well, let me put it this way: to when I've been born and to what I can remember, I will still argue that Obama was probably the best speaker I'd ever seen. He really knew how to capture the people and how to bring them in.
Bro, he's so good at speaking. They put him on a documentary.
They what?
They put him on a documentary for like the national parks.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, I watched it the other day. I'm not a huge Obama fan, but that was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Speaking of that, I want Morgan Freeman to be president. Just to hear him talk.
Man. Oh, could you imagine hearing that
in a
voice?
Perfect world.
Yeah.
In a perfect world.
Could you imagine hearing that just when he gets up on stage? My fellow Americans.
Dude, I can't imagine, actually. I've seen the movie Deep Impact.
Hey, that's right, Deep Impact.
And he just killed it.
Yeah.
Like,
hasn't he played other presidential
that's
roles?
the hard part, though. If we got an actor to be president, like, it would be the smoothest 4 years ever, but their policies would absolutely suck.
Well, that's why they got to build a good team, but
but they have no experience in the political
No,
realm. They
not at
wouldn't have
all.
a good team around them.
Not
Their
at
policies-
all.
Like, it would be just the smoothest, like, press conferences ever. They would be like, well, we can't say anything bad about them. They hit their marks perfectly. They rehearsed it for the past 4 days.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Donald
awesome.
Trump, he's like, rehearsal? Who needs a rehearsal? I'm just going to go out here and say what's on my mind.
So Trump and the Biden family, you know, they're all
Drain the swamp.
They drain the swamp.
Oh, dude, but I have to say, like, back to the debate part, when Trump hit Hillary with the...
You'd be in jail. That was really
the
funny.
greatest one-liner of all time on a presidential
what did
debate.
she say? She was like,
She's
"It's
like,
a
well,
good thing you're not in the presidential office." And he
you'd be
goes,
in
"Because
jail."
you'd be in jail." That was.
And she was like,
Oh, and
she
then,
froze. She didn't have an answer for it. She was just like, "You got me."
That was
That's gonna be an
that was
internet.
a good one.
That's gonna be an internet meme.
Oh, that'll be a meme
Shucks.
for the rest of our lives. So there it is. We have the indictment of Trump potentially coming up. We'll see what happens there. Hunter Biden and the whole Biden family potentially took a lot of, well, not potentially. I mean, they did take a lot of payments
From the CCP.
from the CCP, as far as we can tell. And
Well, hold on. It's not actually the CCP. It's a CCP controlled
organization.
Organization.
Yeah.
CCP.
But because, you know, the CCP controls all their organizations, but that's besides the point.
You know,
So Biden.
if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's a moose.
This is probably one of the most interesting stories I had seen this week, and I was not prepared for it. And when I said it, so I was actually standing next to a very far right person. I said, "Oh my goodness." Biden signs a bill requiring declassification of COVID origins information. They immediately said no, he didn't. I said, well, it's right here in an article. Like, it's literally happening. And he said, no, it didn't. I was like, so this truly shows to me the, you know, politicalization and the divide in our country, because he's literally doing it, which is a shock. Because would you have ever expected Biden to want to know the COVID origins information?
Biden already knows what the COVID origins information is. At this point, they're ready to throw Fauci under the bus.
This is
That's
gonna get
what's
interesting.
changed.
This is what's going to get interesting. So Biden signs bill requiring declassification of COVID origins.
You want me to take over while you take a drink?
Please do.
So, March 20th, Reuters. U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday signed a bill that requires declassification of information related to the origins of coronavirus that caused COVID-19, the White House said. Biden said that he shared Congress's goal of releasing as much information as possible about the origin of COVID-19. In implementing this legislation, my administration will declassify and share as much of that information as possible, consistent with my constitutional authority to protect against the disclosure of information that would harm national security, Biden said in a statement.
So the only other thing that, again, bringing it back to, this is like 3 years later. You know what I mean? Like, all these cases and everything they're pursuing are years and years down the road when they've had this information the whole time. That's what bugs me.
Well, now it can just be a slap on the wrist. It doesn't have to be a full indictment.
That's what I hate.
But we'll get to that in a minute. Washington has been conducting a highly politicized debate about the origins of coronavirus pandemic almost since the first human cases were reported in the Chinese city of Wuhan in late 2019, amid calls from both Biden and fellow Democrats and Republicans to push back harder against a rising China. The debate was refueled last month when Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. Energy Department had assessed with the pandemic likely arose from a Chinese laboratory leak, an assessment Beijing denies. The department made its judgment with low confidence in a classified intelligence report. The FBI has also assessed the pandemic likely originated from a lab leak. 4 other U.S. agencies still judge that COVID-19 was the result of a natural transmission, while 2 are undecided. Many U.S. officials have said that the pandemic's origins may never be known. China claims that a laboratory leak likely caused the pandemic to have no credibility. Biden noted that he had directed intelligence agencies to investigate COVID-19's origins in 2021. That work is ongoing, and his administration would continue to review all classified information, including potential links to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We need to get to the bottom of COVID-19's origins to help ensure we can better prevent future pandemics.
That's wow. So,
here's what's funny. Those 10 hatters in 2020 that literally were ridiculed online for months. You got blocked from Twitter, blocked from Facebook, blocked from any social media. You got shunned on the internet community for saying, hey, this might have came from the lab in China that has, the name of it on the side of the building.
Right.
And now the president is like, it just might have happened. Let's release this information here. Here's the thing. If it did come from the lab, and we can directly tie funding back to Dr. Fauci for gain-of-function origin, like gain-of-function research, does that now in some way put Fauci on the hook for the death of, 12 million people worldwide? 22 million people worldwide?
Yeah, if you can look that up, Stu. I can't remember the exact number.
I think it's 22 million
worldwide. I'll do you one even better. So, is the CDC or any corporation that's ever fired anybody because they refused to get their COVID-19 vaccination, even though the CDC just came out, way earlier than the beginning of this year, saying that now you treat COVID like the common flu? Are they gonna be held accountable for getting rid of those people?
I feel like there's lawsuits in there somewhere, but
there has to be.
No, actually, they signed it in the law that there's no recourse.
There it is. So
I'm pretty sure that that's what happened.
So if that's what happened for that, I guarantee Fauci does not have any, because he's already retiring. He's getting out of it all.
He should go and stand in front of a tribunal that holds his ass accountable for 22 million people dying.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree by any means. But
and everybody affiliated within his circle should also stand before that tribunal.
Yeah.
Because why are you messing with viruses, making them more potent and making them easier to jump to humans?
Now, so the one thing I don't understand on
y'all go mess around and have a zombie outbreak. Like
the one thing I don't understand is, was Fauci connected with that lab in Wuhan?
Yes.
And
correctly.
That because he was doing gain of function research, correct?
So it was through Peter Daszak. But there was actual links from Fauci to Daszak to $10 million or something like that. That was gone through. What was the organization they were a part of? Yeah, the NIH that funded the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Interesting.
And they haven't been able to prove yet, to my knowledge, I might be wrong on this. Please correct me on the internet if I am wrong on this, because I'm not 100%. But I think that the Wuhan Institute of Virology has not been linked to gain-of-function research yet.
And gain-of-function research, for anybody who doesn't know, is a medical research that genetically alters an organism in a way that may enhance the biological functions of gene products. So that may include an altered pathogenous transmissibility or host range. So, or the type of host that a microorganism can affect.
Transmissibility and host range.
Yeah.
Okay. So according to,
hold on, Stu.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but I think it was 2014 when Obama banned it, gain of function.
Yeah, and then Trump reinstated.
And then,
it was like 2017.
2017 or something, it got reinstated. And yeah.
So, do you all believe gain of function should be allowed or no?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Like, I'm sorry for cursing, but no.
So then why do you believe that Trump did allow it to come back?
You want my honest opinion?
I wouldn't mind hearing it.
Ignorance.
Oh, fair enough.
I bet they were like, hey, we're just gonna, start this function back up. And he's like, what's that?
It's for science.
It's for science. We're looking at these viruses and how they work.
Misguided. Misguided incorrectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Which could be easy for somebody who's not into politics.
Well, no. I think it's really easy for, do you understand organic chemistry?
Hell no.
No, I mean, me neither.
Yeah.
If you come to me and you start talking to me about organic chemistry, I'm going to go...
Yeah. What'd you say?
Like, my brain's going to turn off, and I'm just going to sit there and look at you like, I don't know.
You know how satisfying it would have been if, when Trump was still president, he looked at Fauci and just been like, "You fired."
Oh my god,
gosh.
that would have been so great.
That would have been great.
That would have been, hey, you, Fauci, little man,
fired.
You're fired.
So going back to
step down from your little podium. No. I'm not talking about that podium. I'm talking about the foot ladder that we have behind it.
Fired.
You're fired.
So
Go home.
As of March 21st of 2023, there have been 761,071,826 confirmed cases of COVID-19, including
how many deaths?
6,879,677 deaths. So
only 6 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's not as
and
much
who
as
the
I
heck
thought it
knows how accurate those numbers are?
And that's the other problem because
was. A lot of people died in car crashes.
and I mean,
I didn't mean to say that
and
out
then
loud.
the other problem is what was the root cause of many of these people's deaths? Could it have been obesity or diabetes? Could it have been a pre-existing condition that really affected them? Not
Heart
just
disease.
and it could have just been COVID-19 that kind of tipped them over the edge. Now, granted, was it COVID-19 that ultimately took their life? Yes, but the root cause of what took their life was that potential pre-existing condition, old age, obesity, or yada yada, etc. Right? Now, again, there's not we're not saying that these all aren't tragedies. It is clearly a tragedy if you lose
6
a
million
loved
people
one.
died. That's
That's
almost
terrible.
7
7 million people, died. Like, that is horrible. But we
the
have
entire
to look,
city of New York is dead.
But we have to look at root causes. We have to think about this intelligently.
I would love to see the information on healthy people who died from COVID by itself, with no other conditions.
Yep, I would
bet you
love
it's
to
very,
see something
very,
like that.
very small.
And the most deaths, I believe, came out of. It looks like the U.S. Wait, where's China?
Oh no! China, you can't. No, China reported 0 cases up until 2022.
China, 120,000. Yeah, so we had the most deaths.
Yeah, but
it doesn't help because
do you believe the numbers that came out of China? Because I don't.
No, not at all.
I don't believe the numbers that came out of USA.
Yeah, because
I for sure do not believe the numbers that came out of China.
You know what's interesting is we only had 102 million confirmed cases. We have a population of 360 million.
So 30% of the population.
That it?
33% of the population.
Wow, that's it?
Yeah.
Felt like everybody I knew, though, had it at one point or another.
It's still 100 million people.
Yeah, that's still a lot of people.
Yeah, but think about it. It's 33% of the population. There's 317 million people in the United States. 102 million of them got COVID.
Right.
Confirmed.
That's wow. Yeah.
So.
A lot of people. A lot of math.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people that got COVID. That didn't go out and shout it and say, "Yeah, I got COVID, confirmed case."
Yeah, that's true too.
Actually, when I contracted COVID, I went on my back porch and I was like, "I have COVID."
Made sure
I feel okay.
Made sure
a
that they
Facebook
documented
post.
it. Yeah.
Well, guys, it happened. Let me write you a book on Facebook here because I now have COVID.
Oh, that's funny.
And I make light of it when a lot of people did die.
Oh, yeah, it's a horrible tragedy.
I shouldn't make light of that I'm not making light of the aspect of people died from this. I'm making light of the situation and what we're talking about with the numbers and stuff
in
here.
general. Yeah, I mean, because again, it is a tragedy. We've very well established that, and it's very clear that somebody needs to be held accountable for all of the issues that
6
came out of it.
million
And again,
deaths.
China, where the gain of function research was taking place, at least allegedly, in what we think of, which most of us,
Here's
do
the next
consider
question.
it.
If these documents do trace the origins of COVID back to a lab leak from the Wuhan Institute of
How do we hold
Virology,
China accountable?
is China now responsible for 6 million deaths?
That's a great question. And who will hold them accountable to it?
Well, I know they're already responsible for at least 1.2 million deaths.
Yep.
In the Uyghur population.
Uyghur population.
But, I mean, that's 7.2 million deaths that technically China could be responsible
Right
for.
out of China.
How many were in the Holocaust? 6 million?
6 million.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if this is linked back to China and we can point to China and say, you guys are responsible for this, and also you've been massacring the Uyghurs, I mean, we said never again, right?
That's what we did say. Actually, there were 11 million victims of the Holocaust, 6 million
there were
Jewish victims, and 5 million non-Jewish. So
Okay, so not quite there yet.
And what did we do to Germany? Because we tore them a new
Dismantled
one.
them.
Yeah, we tore them a new one when we found
Not
out
just
what
in
they
the
did.
war, but also in like all of the treaties and all of the reprimands and all of the things that came post-war. We dismantled Germany because of their responsibility for it.
Yeah, because citizens knew what were happening, but they were quiet about it.
Yeah.
And it's like they allowed it to happen because one man was able to control that much of a population.
So I'm not going to say it out loud, but Xi Jinping.
Yes, they do deserve to be held accountable. I will
Yes.
say that out loud.
If it comes back to them.
Correct.
But they should be
The
held
COVID
accountable
origins.
for the Uyghur population.
That 100% agreed. So, let's move forward. Let's talk about U.S.
I might have
banking
just got
system.
us in some hot water, boys.
Yeah, hey, accountability comes in all shapes and forms, and if you don't like it, well, sorry.
Hey, that's why the USA doesn't study any of these viruses in the USA.
I mean, yeah, because we don't want to get our people infected. At least I like to think like that. So, or we
They don't
just
be held accountable.
or held accountable, or they just haven't let anything leak. So there is that potential too. So let's talk about Yellen vows safeguard deposits at smaller U.S. banks. Intervene if needed. U.S. Treasury Secretary
180.
Janet Yellen told bankers on Tuesday that she is prepared to intervene to protect depositors in smaller U.S. banks suffering deposits. Blanking here. In smaller U.S. banks suffering deposit runs that threaten more contagion amid the worst financial system turmoil in more than a decade. In a speech aimed at calming nerves rattled by two prominent bank failures this month, Yellen said that the U.S. banking system was stabilizing and steps taken to guarantee deposits in the institutions showed a resolute commitment to ensure depositors, savings, and banks remain safe. The steps we took were not focused on aiding specific banks or classes of banks. Our intervention was necessary to protect the broader U.S. banking system, Yellen told an American Bankers Association conference in Washington. And similar actions could be warranted if smaller institutions suffer deposit runs and pose the risk of contagion. She added in prepared remarks that drew a standing ovation from the assembled bankers after she delivered them. Yellen, speaking more than a week after the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, closed the failing Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, said the decisive and forceful actions were strengthening public confidence in the U.S. banking system and protecting the American economy. In those cases, the Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and the FDIC invoked systematic risk exceptions that allowed them to guarantee billions of dollars of uninsured deposits. And Yellen said the actions, along with a few lending facilities, reduced the risk of further bank failures. Yellen did not provide details on what further interventions may be warranted, but shifted emphasis towards smaller regional and community banks, which have sought protection to stop deposits from fleeing to larger institutions seen as too big to fail. In a U.S. Senate hearing last week, Yellen said universal deposit guarantees would only be granted to those at failing banks determined to pose a systematic risk. Some banking groups have called a congressional authority for temporary universal guarantees on all U.S. bank deposits, but the conservative Republicans' House Freedom Caucus opposes expanding deposit guarantees beyond the FDIC's current $250,000 limit, a major roadblock to swift action to stem a deeper crisis. At separate event, U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo also emphasized the importance of community and minority-owned banks as the department considers how to further strengthen financial stability. Yellen said a dynamic and diverse banking system was needed to support the U.S. economy, with large, mid-sized, and small banks all playing a role in supporting households, small businesses, and increasing competition in the financial services. All right. So, confidence before rule revisions. I'm not too worried about reading the rest of that. So let's talk about this bank situation in general.
What a 180.
From everything we were talking about?
No, from Janet Yellen's position about a week ago.
Oh, right.
There will be no bailouts. We've bailed them all out.
So, how do you feel about the FDIC and wanting to increase the amount from $250,000? How do you feel about that?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, it's weird. Yes, I would like to see the insurance of that go up, but no, because I don't think that if a crisis happened, it's on me as a taxpayer to ensure that billionaires' funds are stayed.
Fair enough.
If my stock portfolio goes to zero, well, that's on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. A banking institution is supposed to be a quote-unquote safe place, but at the same time,
it's a risk.
It's what they do with your money when you put it into the bank in the fractional banking system. That's just as bad as putting it into a stock portfolio, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, yes and no is my answer.
That's tough. Now, the other question is, do you all believe in... So, do you all believe in banking with smaller firms like credit unions and things locally, or do you believe in staying in national firms?
I think smaller firms are going to be more solvent. There probably are, taking advantage of fractional banking, but it's probably not to the scale of what some of the bigger ones are doing.
Right, like the national banks.
So I would say like your smaller banks is probably a safer bet depending on how much money you have.
Right. And depending on what you're doing with it as well, as like whether you're a small business or, things of that nature, I guess would all determine.
I think the good thing about smaller banks is they're not going to loan like a crazy amount of money out. And also, too, the money will stay local.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
It goes into pumping like the community back up.
Yeah.
I feel like they're a little smarter. I mean, that could be wrong, but I feel that way.
Yeah, but if you're a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, those banks, say the bank is worth $1 billion, right?
Right.
And you make a deposit of $100 million, for example. You basically own that bank. You have a tenth of their entire.
You saying for a big bank or a small bank?
No, a small bank. So I can see where there would be some issues there.
Right.
But I would say that overall, for the normal 99% of us, I would say that smaller banks are probably a better choice.
Interesting. Cool. I like that discussion. I like the ideas behind it. Yeah,
Good questions, Nave.
Did you see that the Fed's not going to... Well, they're talking about not raising the interest rates now.
Whoops. Well, guys, so much for that soft landing.
Yeah, right?
They're sitting there like, we're going to get inflation under control.
Aren't interest rates already at still 6-7%?
Mortgage rates are still up, but I mean, they took the, I think the
Like
rate to
personal
loan money,
Yeah.
or the rate to buy money is at like 4.5% right now.
Oh, it's not too.
Well,
it's not
yeah, that's why the rates are so high. It's
Yeah.
because investors need to make money, so they
Right.
need to have at least a 2 to 3% return on their investment.
At least.
Yeah, otherwise it just doesn't make sense. If
Yeah.
it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So that's why everything else is real high right now. I think that things like this, I mean, you got to think like if one or two more banks go down, then the Federal Reserve is basically triggering a huge economic implosion
Right.
by raising these rates, because that's why these two banks failed.
Right.
Is they put their bets into, what was it, bond yields,
Yeah, all their eggs in one basket.
and then the bond yields went through the roof
With
when
the
the
interest
reserve
rates.
started raising interest rates. So, or not through the roof, through the floor, because
yeah.
they just became worthless.
Yeah.
And so that's where these banks, I mean, literally the Federal Reserve is pretty much the reason that these banks failed, outside of them making risky investments.
Right. I feel like. I feel
mean,
like
it's a two-part thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like banks should understand that, though, that they should only be in, like, they should understand the diversification of their portfolios and invest into certain things. I feel like they should have known, like you said, not to invest
Well, that requires
into the
intelligence.
interest rates. I mean, yeah, that's also true.
That requires following the rules that they tell everybody else to follow. Hey, diversify your portfolio so that if something bad happens, you don't get caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
We just got caught with our pants down.
Oh, crap.
Whoops, Stormy.
Oh,
See what I did there? See what I did there?
Goodness.
Give me some skin on that.
Yeah. That was incredible. Wow. Damn, that was a good one.
Ooh, man, I felt good about that. I got cold chills from that one.
That was a good one.
Ooh, wrap that whole thing up. Put a little bow on it.
Oh, man.
Where do we go after that?
I guess we're gonna talk about Russia and China, but
Jeez. Damn, that was
damn. All right, let's talk. Russia hits Ukraine with missiles, drones as dear friend Xi departs. So, Xi departs after the show of solidarity with Putin. I am not even gonna try that second name.
Hold on, let me see.
Try it. Scroll down a little bit, Stu. There it is. That second bullet point.
Oh, that one's an easy one.
Yeah.
The poor Rizizia.
Apartment block struck in broad daylight, and at least 4 killed in dormitory south of Kyiv. Russia blasted an apartment block in Ukraine with missiles on Wednesday and swarmed cities with drone attacks overnight. In a display of force, as President Vladimir Putin bid farewell to his visiting dear friend and Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, firefighters battled a blaze in 2 adjacent residential buildings in Zaporizhzhia, where officials said at least 1 person was killed and 33 wounded by twin missile strikes. Right now, residential areas where ordinary people and children live are being fired at. President Zelensky tweeted with security camera videos showing one building exploding.
That's insane. That missile was traveling so fast that the camera didn't even pick it up.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, wait.
Did it just play?
Wait till this replays. Like,
Go
watch
ahead and
this.
go back, Stu.
You don't even see a missile come in. It just blows up.
Oh my goodness, very minimal though. That's crazy. Boom.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
That is nightmarish.
Could you imagine just like driving by that though, or just I mean,
Could
look
you
at all
imagine
these,
being
look
in
at all
that
these,
dorm taking
look
a
at all
dump?
these people. Oh no!
Like, dear Lord Jesus.
Boom! All
Whoa.
at the same time.
Wow. That was explosive.
That-
I'm full of them tonight.
They are full of them tonight. Gosh, yeah. See, and again, I just want to reiterate, this is one thing that the American people have to understand, that we cannot take it for granted because we don't get bombed on our homeland. When was the last time? 2021? I mean, geez.
2021.
Oh, somebody help me.
What strike are you talking about?
2001. Now, granted, we do have more domestic assaults and things of that nature, but from a foreign terrorist group, Not,
I wouldn't consider
often.
Russia as a terrorist group. I would consider them a
foreign
superpower
threat
in the world.
A foreign threat. Let's just put it that way.
And I mean I'm just gonna stop. I was gonna talk about 9/11, and I'm just gonna stop. I'm not gonna get that high. I'm not gonna get that high.
Are we really gonna get into the inside of 9/11?
Nope, we're not doing it.
That's for another day with a little bit of tinfoil. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. But other than that,
plane fuselage should not make it all the way through the building.
Oh man, Ryan.
Hey, you said jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
I did.
You're just as guilty as I am.
I am just as guilty as you are. So this must
tin hat off.
This must not become just another day in Ukraine or anywhere else in the world. The world needs greater unity and determination to defeat Russian terror faster and protect lives. A playground and a car park at a scene were littered with glass, debris, and wrecked cars. Emergency workers carried out the wounded and escorted those who could walk. An elderly woman with scratches on her face sat alone on a bench, wiping tears and whispering prayers. When I got out, there was destruction, smoke, people screaming, debris. Then the firefighters and rescuers came, said Ivan Nalivaiko, 24. In Razishkiv, riverside town south of the capital, at least 6 people were killed, 18 injured, and 3 missing after a drone struck 2 college dormitories. Reuters saw a 5-story building with a collapsed section of the top floor. During the night, sirens blared across the capital, and swaths of northern Ukraine, and the military said it had shot down 16 of 21 Iranian-made Shahed suicide drones. In an apparent reference to the Chinese president's visit to Russian capital, Zelensky tweeted, "Every time someone tries to hear the word peace in Moscow, another order is given. There is another order is given there for such criminal strikes." Zelensky visited troops near the front line on Wednesday. His office released video of him handing out medals to soldiers, which it said was filmed near Bakhmut, the eastern city where Ukrainian forces are mounting a defense in what has become Europe's deadliest infantry battle since World War II. Wow. That's actually pretty significant. International bodies estimate rebuilding Ukraine will cost $411 billion, 2.6 times Ukraine's 2022 gross domestic product. Hosting Xi in Moscow this week was Putin's grandest diplomatic gesture since he launched the war a year ago and became a pariah in the West. The two men referred to each other as dear friend, promised economic cooperation, condemned the West, and described relations as the best they have ever been. Xi departed, telling Putin, now there are changes that haven't happened in 100 years. When we are together, we drive these changes. Wow, this is horrible. So here's a couple pictures. Just if you want to click through some of those pictures, obviously Xi and Putin drinking some what looks like to be wine or champagne. I don't know why you're doing
as
a
they
wine
blast
glass.
college students.
Yeah, no joke.
Come on, man.
Looks like a tank rolling through Ukraine. Again, dormitory just absolutely destroyed. Them walking together. Zelensky looks to be on the next one, addressing his soldiers.
Who do you think wins, Putin or Xi Jinping in a fight to the death? Hyped up on cocaine.
Putin.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember Putin was ex-KGB. I mean,
dude.
Yeah.
And he rode a horse shirtless.
Did he?
You've never seen the oh my gosh.
I probably have, actually.
The shirtless Putin? Or shirtless Putin mean? Come on, man.
So the White House urged Beijing to pressure Russia to withdraw. Washington also criticized the timing of the trip just days after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Putin on war crime charges. So, wow. I actually didn't know that. I didn't realize that Putin is now wanted for war crime charges.
ICC just put out a warrant for his arrest.
So the entire Russian people could come down and get him arrested and find a new president, since he decided to just make himself president for the next 12 years.
And yes, they could.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So the other biggest thing that I saw from this was this is the biggest boots on the ground
infantry battle
since World War II. I mean, World War II, I was a big World War II fanatic. I loved everything about the history of it. I mean, obviously I didn't enjoy anything that happened out of it, because war and death and destruction and genocides and those are clearly things that I do not enjoy, but I just like history. But learning from that, I mean, there was a battle in Stalingrad over in Russia, when Russia
terrible.
and Germany, I mean, there was 1 million people alone that died in that one battle. Now, granted, again, all of World War II, I'll be honest, I don't know the exact number, but the amount of people that died in that, and saying this is
like 25 million, I think.
Something ridiculous.
Like the U.S. alone had like 4.5 million that died in that war.
Oh my goodness. I gotta look it up now. But the fact that, wow, an estimated total of 70 to 85 million people perished.
Oh wow, I was way off. I thought it was like 25.
3% of the 2.3 billion estimated people on Earth in 1940, deaths directly caused by war, including military and civilian fatalities, are estimated to 50 to 56 million, with an additional estimated 19 to 28 million deaths from war-related famine.
Hey, one thing I want to touch on here before we leave is this Russia weakening part of this Reuters article.
Mm-hmm.
Russia's only notable gains have been around Bakhmut, but Kyiv has decided in recent weeks not to withdraw there, saying its defenders were inflicting enough losses on the Russian attackers to justify holding out. In an intelligence update, Britain's Ministry of Defense said that while there was still a risk of a Ukrainian garrison in Bakhmut could be surrounded, Russia's assault on the city could be running out of steam. Ukraine's military general staff agreed, saying Russia's offensive potential in Bakhmut was declining. A Ukrainian counterattack in recent days west of Bakhmut was likely to relieve pressure on Ukraine's supply route, the British ministry said. That actually goes into something I was listening to the other day. I was listening to Peter Zeihan or Zian. He was on Joe Rogan a couple of month ago.
Yeah.
But he was talking about the Russian military is basically out of artillery shells outside of what has been stored from like World War II.
Wow.
And they have been like on the hunt for artillery rounds.
Hence why this relationship with Xi Jinping is going to be significant for them.
All of a sudden, now China starts supplying them with military aid. This becomes a whole different fight.
Yeah, because again, it's going to be a war of attrition. We're going to have to.
The only difference is that Ukraine still has us on their side.
Well, and all of NATO at this point.
Oh yeah, all of NATO, but they still have us.
Yeah,
like.
They do.
It's
have
estimated at $411 billion to rebuild the country of Ukraine right now. That's half of what we spent last year on the military.
That's crazy.
Let that sink in for a second.
Let that sink in.
We could
Holy
rebuild
crap.
their entire country for half of what our military white budget was, the one that we know about.
Goodness.
Not even including the black budget.
Could you imagine us actually helping them rebuild all their infrastructure just to have that kind of alliance and to take it wouldn't be an alliance, Nate. It'd be ownership. Yeah, get their resources and things of that nature. Because that's, I mean, ultimately, when you look at what's
which is like
going
Russia's
on,
worst nightmare.
Yeah, because they don't want that at all.
No, because then Ukraine becomes a part of NATO, which I think it's. I mean, if Ukraine survives this, I feel like it's inevitable that Ukraine is going to become a part of NATO.
I agree with that.
Do you think it's fair to say that the USA just wants a regime change in Russia, and that's why we're involved in this?
Oh,
I think the
interesting.
USA wants Russia weak. I don't think they care about the regime. I think they just want them weak.
But is it bad to want to get rid of communism also?
Because, I mean, for years, Putin has been looked at like this bad guy. And I'm not saying he's a good guy.
Right.
But for years, we've just heard Putin in the media. So, I mean, it's like USA has been targeting him for years. And now since he invaded Ukraine, this is like the perfect time to get involved and, weaken Russia, like you said.
I feel like if we wanted a regime change, Putin would already be dead.
That's another good point.
I mean, we have snipers that have confirmed kills of 2.1 miles away.
Right, I get that, but this is like
we wouldn't send somebody in and just
this is like as
a suicide mission, like hey,
non-aggressive way of kind of getting involved,
right? Without it being directly tied to the U.S., I guess.
I mean, you send somebody in on a suicide mission that says you say eat the pill after you shoot them.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point too.
Because the fact that the thing they hide behind is we're trying to save Ukraine's democracy. But my opinion, I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true at all. Like I said, I think what the U.S. is trying to do right now is weaken Russia and expose Russia for not being the military might that they parade around and say they are.
Yeah, I think all these countries have an interest, and all these countries are in it for their own benefit, essentially.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's just the way I look at it. I don't think there's a good side or a bad side. I think this is just your world powers locking horns and
Yeah.
I think it's more so that I don't know if they're necessarily locking horns, because I don't think we're locking horns yet. I think it's more of like a chess battle. Like, we're moving pawns into position.
Yeah.
And now that it looks like the alliance between Russia and China has strengthened, we may have been moving pawns in order to checkmate Russia, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Russia applied to be a member of NATO in 2001, and we denied them.
If we would have accepted that, that would have been a completely different story with what's happening now, because at that point, you're not allowed to turn on another nation. And well, granted, Ukraine isn't part of NATO, so then would we have backed Russia?
Yeah.
Whole different timeline to...
Well, I mean, I don't think we would have condoned their actions, but here's the thing. You can't do that because then there's peace. And how does the military-industrial complex continue to operate if there's peace?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole point. Like, people in America, everybody, gets behind this, which I understand. In Ukraine, there's been a lot of deaths, and it's sad. And Russia invaded Ukraine, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people look at it as like a good versus evil, and I just think it's
Not
evil
necessarily
all
that.
around,
Yeah.
and innocent people are dying because of these corrupt governments that are fighting each other.
I can understand that take. Yeah.
I still think you should just put, like, if you want to go to war, you put the leaders of the two countries that want to go to war in a cage, fight to the death.
Man, that'd be like perfect world, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Why are all these innocent people having to die right now because of
I know.
this stupid bullcrap?
Look,
I know.
it was just the anniversary of the invasion in Iraq, March 20th. And if you rewind
Weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, if you rewind to that time, if you spoke out against the war, I mean, you were a Saddam lover. And,
oh, dude, you were unpatriotic.
Yeah,
you hated America. There was all
you
kinds
probably
of
would have got
things.
canceled on Twitter back then.
Yeah,
Oh,
even
absolutely.
back then. Or even
If
when
Twitter
you,
even existed.
when you look back at the protests against Vietnam, everybody was like, "Oh, look at all these hippie lovers, blah blah blah." But then once we started losing the war in Vietnam, oh, what are we doing over there?
Let's
Pull our
get outta
troops
here.
out. What
Why
are we
are we-
doing?
why are we
Yeah,
doing
so now
this?
if you speak out against the war, you're a Putin puppet, and
Yeah, it's interesting how history kind of continues to do that, isn't it?
and if you talk about a lab leak theory or a conspiracy theorist, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know.
How are we supposed to be in America and trade ideas and talk about all the information that's out there and have honest discourse like we like to have on this podcast? How can we do that when we just have
Go against each other.
Well, you
just-
can't.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of the point, though. I feel like the point is to stir people up and to go against each other and to completely polarize each other. That's why we created this platform here, where we come together, we talk, we make sense of things, and we're able to have open, honest discourse. We're able to use facts to fuel our arguments or our disagreements.
Yeah, it just bothers me because, like you were saying earlier, all this stuff that's come out, like the lab leak thing, the Hunter Biden stuff,
Years later.
and it's like years later, it's just like common knowledge.
Yeah.
But like when the stuff actually comes out, it's censored here, it's censored there. You're a conspiracy theorist. It's just
Yeah,
getting
because
old
now-
to me.
now
It's
we're
just
all
like MK Ultra and all that stuff that was going on, CIA projects and stuff back
Right.
in the day, that were believed like, oh, you conspiracy theorists, take your tin hat off. And now it's like, no, there's a lot of people messed up because of MK Ultra, which was a real thing.
Yeah, like a horrible thing.
UFOs.
UFOs. Yeah, I mean, technically, which are unidentified flying objects, so
UAPs.
technically, so what is it?
UAPs now.
UAPs.
Unidentified
Unidentified
aerial phenomenon.
Oh, aerial phenomenon. What?
Yeah. They've changed the name of it.
I didn't know that.
I guess to get more credibility.
I
Because
guess.
UFOs is
We
not
got
been
those-
a very credible thing for the last 50 years.
We got those JFK files. Not all of them released, but some of them released.
Yeah, and they'll wait until those involved are completely dead until they actually release the rest of those files. So then there's no justice served ever. Just because he wanted to get rid
It's
of the
declassified now
It's
because it
exhausting,
doesn't.
man. It's
because he
all
wanted to get rid of the
exhausting.
federal. So it is exhausting. It's exhausting to keep up with, and that's what we are here to do. We are here to keep up with it, so you all don't have to, and so that you have the information presented right in front of you.
No, that's not true, Dave. We keep up with the information to educate our viewers so that they can then begin to keep up with it.
Ah, true. But they
I
don't
don't
have to feel
ever
like
want to. I don't want to ever say that so you don't have to.
Yeah,
No,
don't
it's-
take our word for it.
It is
well,
your
true.
It is your duty as a citizen of the United States to explore and exercise your free right to information. Our information, we try to source it and we try to establish and we try to verify as best as we possibly can. However, we are human. We do make mistakes.
Yep.
So don't take our word for everything.
Do your own research.
Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions.
And unfortunately, it is exhausting, and that's why politics is so hard for people to get into, because they already have enough going on in their lives with their family, their friends, their everything else they have going on. And now they have to try to find good resources on top. Like, even if they did just purely follow us, right? And they loved watching us. Now they're going to want to compare what we say to maybe mainstream media. They're going to want to look up these articles. It is exhausting. It's too many avenues. It's too hard to keep up with it.
But you can't trust just one source.
You can't just trust one source, but we will do everything we can to help you get as close to the facts as possible. And that's kind of what we're here to do.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a passion project. We're not getting paid by anybody. We don't have any sponsorships or anything like that. So we are not influenced in a manner that is going to.
We're not bought out.
Yeah, we're not. We don't have income coming in from this that's going to deter us from saying what we feel is true.
Yeah.
And what we've determined to be true.
I'll be honest, if we ever did find ourselves bringing in income, the only income I would want it to be is from the people. I would legit love to keep this as like a subscription-based platform, just because if we were able to actually we would be for the people, by the people, and we would truly represent those individuals.
People
and
that
it's just as
believe in
simple
what
as
we're
that.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just people who believe in what we're doing and want to follow us because they believe in us.
You know, in this day and age, right, with all these, these things right here, that cell phone.
Them thingies.
Do we really need representatives in Washington? Ooh, there's a hot take.
Ooh, hot take.
Because, I mean, if somebody puts forth a bill, right, we all have the ability to vote on that bill.
Like J. Cole says, it's 2018. Let me choose from an app on my screen.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like
We
let
should
me
have
choose what I want
each
to
and every
fund
phone
and-
should have a government app that sends out a notification when there's a new bill.
Yep.
And we should all have the ability to vote on it. Do we really need representatives? Like, that's a true
It
democracy.
should probably be done definitely at a local level.
For sure. Right?
Huh.
Why do we not have, I mean, we have a government app that notifies us whenever a child is kidnapped, with the Amber Alerts.
Yeah.
We could absolutely, new bill.
So
This is what the bill is.
then comes down
And
to
then
the
make
question.
the laws where you can't, do the bus bills where like there's 15 different things on there to vote on. No,
So-
just make it a one
So the question is,
topic at a time.
why don't they do that? Keep us ignorant.
Not just keep us ignorant, but to keep the power in Washington.
Hmm.
Because then you actually do give power to the people.
And that is a fact.
Fact check.
And also, too, another thing I want to add on is, hopefully, as we grow, we get more involvement in the chat and stuff, because that's what I really like.
I love talking to people.
Just to see the multiple views.
I was getting
and
ready to say.
because people get information from different places, so we get our information. We try to find factual information. But yeah, I like to see where other people are coming from and where they get their information from, and see their view on the world.
All
Absolutely.
right, so the most, I guess, controversial thing that I'm going to say tonight is that Old Faithful is no longer Old Faithful. He's been missing a lot of our shows
He
here
has
lately.
missed recently.
What's going on, old faithful?
To be fair,
are you there?
listen.
Are you there?
To be fair, he told me tonight he had a long day at work, so he was tired and he's probably going to bed.
Yeah, he
I
did.
get it.
I actually saw him. I
get it.
actually saw
He's
him.
still old faithful, but
I saw
come
him at
on.
work tonight, so that makes sense. Or earlier today. So
I just miss him.
I miss him
I
too.
miss him so much.
Sorry, he'll be back. Dre will be back. We'll have all of our people back here soon, and we'll have another fantastic show. But with that being said, it is time to log off here. It is coming up on 9:30. You hear that?
Comment,
Just look at those
share,
those points.
follow,
Like, comment, share, follow.
like, comment,
Share.
share, follow. On the Royal Rumble.
And many of our other platforms: Facebook,
Not
YouTube,
WrestleMania, that's not
Instagram, TikTok,
Do.
Twitch, so many other places. So please make sure you all are following. Please make
Patreon.
sure you all are liking, commenting, sharing, and following. That is what's going to help us grow. Because again, like Ryan just said earlier, this is nothing but a passion project for us. We do this because we love it, and we'd love to do this every day for you all. But unfortunately, to make that a reality, we would have to find ourselves moving towards some sort of ability to be able to make that happen, right? And that's
I
a whole
don't know that
different-
I would ever be able to do an everyday podcast.
Oh, I could do it every day.
That would be more than a passion project for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
I wouldn't be able to commit to all that.
Fair enough. I could do. I see me as doing this like every single day. I love getting up here. I love talking. I love being able to be in front of the people and be able to discuss this for you, because in my opinion, what we're doing here is we're helping people, and that's the one thing I've always wanted to do. I've wanted to leave my footprint on the world in some way.
On the world.
So
what you're saying is you want to put
help
the
people.
world under your foot?
How'd you know
Ooh,
that?
Come on, Nave.
No, I mean,
Come
yeah.
on, Nave.
Yeah.
Putin.
So with all that being said, thank you all for coming
good.
for the 117th episode of the Fact Is podcast. We truly enjoyed all this tonight. Then again, please make sure you all like, comment, share, follow. We've said that about 100 times tonight. And with that being said, Stuart, do you have anything else you want to say before we log off here?
If you like what we do and you want to help us grow, we do have a Patreon account,
Well, that we do.
and anything helps. Yeah.
Ryan, any last remarks?
No.
No, nothing. You look so serious though.
I'm doing this for a reason. You'll see why.
All right. Sorry, that's just really funny. I'm gonna drop that Patreon account real quick before we log off here. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. All right. Now, with all that being said, this was the 117th episode of the Fact Is podcast. I'm your host, Nate Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
Is it?
Stay classy, San Diego.
Good night.